Hello, hello everyone. Today we're talking about a very important topic. We're talking about how to choose a fertility clinic. But I'm not going to talk to you by myself. We have an amazing team, a global team actually coming to join us today. So I'm going to send an invite to to Ola and to Monica. So let's see if I can find them in, on Instagram. Yeah, I'll invite to Ola and now I'm going to send an invite to Monica. And this is truly an international team. Hi, Ola. Hi,
Hi,
Monica.
hello girls.
How are
Hi,
you?
Ola. Can you
Hey,
hear
can you
me?
hear me? I
Yes,
cannot hear you.
we can hear
Can you
you.
hear me? Can you hear
I
me?
can't hear you.
Uh,
Can you hear me, Monica?
yes, I can hear you, and I can hear Ola, but she cannot hear us.
Okay, I can hear
You
you
know,
now. I'm not sure what was happening. I wasn't
oh,
able to hear
okay.
you.
I was just saying
Hello,
this is
girls.
really
Hey!
this is a global chat, isn't it? Because we're calling from
Yes,
Totally,
yes.
everywhere.
absolutely. What time is in Nigeria, Ola?
5 o'clock. Same
In
time as
the
the UK, summertime.
Oh, it's the same like UK. Okay.
In the summertime
Oh,
for the UK. Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
What
That's
Hello,
great.
time
girls.
I'm
is it
glad we
there
got to
in the
do this, right?
US?
Here is okay. It's 12:02. It's noon, exactly noon.
Wow.
And Andrea, you're in the UK, right?
I'm in the UK in London. I'm just in a coffee shop because I was having meetings
Ah,
everywhere in London.
I
that's
saw the
nice.
picture.
Ah,
Oh,
nice. Okay, I'm
nice.
having mine here as well. Yay.
Mine is not here. Mine is gonna come soon.
Oh wow, it looks beautiful.
And
So
it's
how are
good to
you
be
girls?
together. Yeah, okay. We're okay. And I think we've chosen such an important topic to talk about how to choose a clinic because people ask us that all the time, isn't it? And it's so challenging because when we look at websites, they all sort of look the same. They're all great websites, isn't it? So, how do we choose? How do we get to know the professionals behind the screen?
Yes, it's such a strong topic, and when you embark in like the journey of choosing a clinic and you know nothing about it, like it happened to me 15 years ago, it's kind of frustrating because you just like I jumped just right in what my gynecologist recommend when we found out. I was lucky, I can't complain, but still there was some little details that through the time I learned to to teach others and to check on that. I think that one very important that I always kind of recommend to look is the statistics of live births, not the positive results, because positive results can be kind of, you say, oh, we have the x amount of positive results, but a lot of positive results end up in miscarriages or stillbirths like happened to me. So you want to look into live births. That's one of the recommendations I always kind of.
And we often find that someone else's statistics are not our statistics. So it's always good to find other patients that you've treated with my age, with my problems. What were the results? Isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Definitely. I think for me, actually, I think I learned the hard way in terms of choosing clinics because initially I was obviously clueless and I didn't really do any research. I must have seen someone in the magazine saying that it worked out for them and this was a great clinic, and I just went there because someone said it was great in the magazine. But of course,
Yeah.
my experience was really bad, and you know, so I think now I always tell people that you don't have to go with the first clinic you have a consultation with. At that time I thought, well, I'm already here, the doctor seems fine, and hopefully I'm going to have a baby or babies in 9 months, and I just wanted to get started right away without asking the important questions. So I think for sure that was an important lesson for me.
And I've seen that all as well, that patients sometimes they look at the statistics and they feel, even if I don't feel connected to the team or to the doctor, I will just put up with it because I want a baby. But that's not sustainable when you're trying for 3, 5, 10 years. It's not sustainable if you don't trust them, if you don't have that connection, is it?
Absolutely,
No.
Andrea. I think that is so important. I think it's all. I'm going to make a comparison that is funny, but I think it has to do with that. It's the same like when we are single and we are looking or we want to find true love. So we have, or it happened to me. I was like, I date this guy and he has few things, few features that they're nice, but there is something missing. So, and then as people, you have, let's see, in the end, 5 guys that you say, oh, they have, these have these have this. I want one that has all of them. And eventually, life bring it. The same with the clinic, and that part of the connection, the ability of our inner voice and our, consciousness, that little voice that we have to feel comfortable with the people, the team is so important, because even if they have, like you say, the best results, the best statistics and all of that, but you ask a question and maybe we feel that someone answered to us nasty or make us feel stupid because, oh, it's a stupid question.
Yeah,
That right there should be like a red light to say, this is not for me. We need to kind of find that package, right, girls?
Definitely. And I've
absolutely.
actually had clinics do that, or doctors, speak to you in a condescending manner, like, you're just a patient, I'm the one that knows what to do. Because I remember actually had a cycle with a doctor in that clinic, and prior to having that cycle, I had the protocol that he suggested and the medication I thought wasn't good for me because I tried it before and it didn't work. But the doctor was like, no, maybe that was just a bad month. That's what I want to use. Let's try it. I was like, okay, fine, let's try. You never know. But I tried and the response was bad. And so when that cycle failed, it was like, okay, we're going to try again the next month or the month after. So I'm like, okay, so what are we going to do differently? And he's like, nothing. We're just going to do the same thing. And I'm
Yeah,
like, no. Why am I going to do
absolutely.
that? Yeah. And then he said to me, well, that's my stand. I'm like, well, you don't have a stand, right? I'm paying you, right? So you can't tell me this is your stand. It's not a free service. So, yeah, so important to find a
And
doctor
do,
that treats you like a person. Yeah.
and do you find that it's easier for us to stand up to ourselves when we've been in this journey for a while, but in the beginning it's actually when we need the most, but we are just more willing to do whatever, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like going upside down, like, yes, it's so, it's part, I think, of learning as a human. We always kind of crash first because we want results right away, and we are very rushable because we want, like you say, Andrea, and all that, we want results, that, and we are so obsessed with the, I was obsessed, like, I just want baby, 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 and that obsession blocked the rest of our senses, I will say, like you say, we jump just right away. But these kind of things also happen along. I think that once we choose our clinic, we also need to look at the process on how they treat us. Like in my last cycle, I give an example, which is where I have Maya. She was a twin, so I was pregnant from twins, and I start to bleed. Bleeding is very normal when we go through IVF. Sometimes, it indicates like attachment of the embryo. Sometimes it's a loose. And when I went, because I was so paranoid, when we went to check on the doctor, they do that sonogram, and she says, okay, I saw right away 2 bags. One bag had a heartbeat and the other one no. So, she explained, and she said, well, you are bleeding because one of the twins is kind of going, itself is going away. And then I didn't even look at that. I was happy to see the other heartbeat. And then when she saw that, and we are with my husband very happy, she's like, but listen, don't keep too much hope, because then that one can take the other one out. I was like in shock. My husband is the kind that he's not quiet. He's right away screamed at her and told her that she's insensitive, that she shouldn't be working what she does. And I was for it because you need to learn to say to patients that are going through the hell that we are going through. All of us, we have our different cases. How are you gonna say such a thing? So always look, and if you feel, like Andra says, if you feel that there is something rude or out of sense, you need to be kind and sensitive and compassionate. Express it right away. That day we called right away the doctor after we came back, our RE, and we told him we don't want to see this lady anymore. And all the process was perfect up to that moment. And he took care of that. He said, I'm sorry, I apologize. And I saw him for the last 3 or 4 appointments before I go to the gynecologist. Always stand for yourself, because our voice count. The fact that they are doctors, yes, they are doctors, they have knowledge. Science is a big help to what we are going through. But that doesn't mean that because we don't have that knowledge or we are not close to science, we don't know what our body also needs and how we can express our feelings in such a journey that we are going through, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking, Ola, you mentioned that you went on magazines, and I think lots of
Yeah.
people go online searching for recommendations, don't they?
Yeah.
So we look on the website, we check those recommendations, we look at the statistics, and what else? What other things matter to patients when they are trying to choose a clinic?
I think that it's important to try to have like initial consultations, and many clinics actually have that. Some people offer it for free, or might have open evenings when you can just go and meet the doctors, or meet the staff. I think that's really good because that can give you an idea of, you might just get a sense of, do I connect with these people like you said earlier or not? And of course, if you get to go to the center, you can see the staff friendly, because you're going to spend some time there, right? So you want a place where you feel comfortable, where people seem nice to you. Obviously, if you cannot visit in person, you can still have a Zoom call, just to see how the doctors are asked you questions, see how they respond, see if they're willing to work with you, see if they're willing to create a protocol that fits your situation, and not just one protocol fits everybody. So I think as much as possible, if you can have a consultation either in person or over the phone or by Zoom, I think it's a good idea when trying to choose a clinic.
And have you often found that when you have that initial impression, so you've chosen, you think it's the right one, and then you go through treatment and you're sort of a bit disappointed, so that image doesn't match, and that makes you choose the next one, right?
Yeah.
What do you take into consideration when you've moved from one clinic to the other?
I think for me, and I have moved around a lot, unfortunately.
Yes. But that's good, because then you can share that experiences with us and with the people that is listening to us now.
Yeah. And I tell the doctors, the new doctors, as soon as I meet them, like, this is what I don't like, so if you're going to work with me, I need you to do this, and especially like communication. I do not like when a clinic tells me I'm going to update you tomorrow, I expect you to update me tomorrow. If anything changes and that's not possible, then let me know that. I don't want to have to be chasing you or wondering what's happening, why haven't they contacted me? Because with fertility treatments, you're always sometimes concerned something has gone wrong. So
Yeah.
when the clinics don't contact you and update you as promised, and then you start thinking, oh, what happened? Maybe something is, gone wrong, maybe that's happened. So it's important for me that you communicate, as promised. And of course, if you send emails to them as well, how quickly are they responding to you? Because all that matters. Like, you don't want to just be kept as an afterthought. You send an email today, you're waiting 3-4 days later, no response. So I think for fertility treatment, you might have to change clinics. And of course, for some people, that might not be possible, right? Because you might have, funds might be an issue, or that might be the only clinic in your location. So you might have to go back there. But even if that's the case, I think letting them know what, what you're not comfortable with, what you're not happy with, is still important because it's good feedback, and hopefully you can work together to, address those situations and have a better experience in the future.
Yes, that is so important.
Has that happened to you, Monica, as well, that you've changed clinics?
I went through 5 cycles, and my first three, is funny to say, I went through the RE that my gynecologist recommend. He was amazing, very smart, very, like kind himself with the people. Although his clinic was small and the team was small, I had, you see, it's funny because I didn't like that fact that I have to wait it so long. But my husband, for some reason, he has the opposite feeling of me, and he said, I have a good feeling about this, just give it a try. So then, this is something totally out of the clinic. And I said, okay, we tried, and no complaint. I was pregnant the first time. My daughter is now 16. We went the second time, and the second time with him, there was some changes in the team, and is when they made a mistake, huge mistake, because they switched charts for some reason. They gave me, the amount of medicine of another patient, and I got OHSS, so we had to cancel the cycle. I was super upset. My husband too. He screamed at him, And again, like Ola says, the financial impact, when you here in the States, we are fighting to get this covered 100%, as is another illness. So he took responsibility, and of course, I have to wait 3-4 months to clean my body and all of that. It was frustrating. And he said, the next cycle there is no charge and all of that. I got pregnant with him. I had my stillbirth baby girl because I developed that blood clot thing. So after that, and after the stillbirth, I wanted another cycle. So I spoke with him right away, and he was, again, very professional. He told me, I can do another cycle, but we need you to first grieve. We need your body to be clean. You need to be mentally, emotionally, and physically at least a little balanced. Otherwise, I don't do it, because I don't think you can get pregnant, but you can lose. So
Yeah.
is when I choose to change clinic there. And the clinic I went, he actually recommended me a very good RE, and he said, because he don't want to do it. But I think that also that part, when a doctor kind of tells you from kindness, from good, from the
Yeah.
heart, listen, you need to kind of give a break to your body. I'm not saying I'm not going to do it. That's also a good thing to hear, because it combines with that. I didn't have so many issues like Ola has, except in my last cycle with this nurse, but definitely communication, as you mentioned, Ola, it's so important. Like you say in the beginning, if you come from a clinic where they apply a protocol, let's say, and you go to this new clinic and they want to apply the same protocol, that with me doesn't work, because I think that try over things that you have tried before is like, the past, repeating the past. If it doesn't work, then it's become kind of insane. You need to,
Exactly.
like, what the heck? Right?
Yeah.
So that is something that I will also look. If you change clinic because the people is not nice, or because the protocol have not worked and you maybe try more than once, the purpose of you changing is also because you are looking to a different option. And if a new clinic is going to offer you the same, right away I will say, you know what, I need to check on another one.
Yeah. And, I was thinking about what factors people also might consider when choosing. And here in Europe, there's a lot of talk about donation either being anonymous or not anonymous. So there's a big movement for it not to be anonymous. But in Spain, it's still anonymous.
Yes.
So there's a lot of debate about that, and I think people have very individual feelings about that. So I think that's also an important aspect, not only about that, but the types of treatment, because not all countries offer all treatments that people might need, like surrogacy as
Yes.
well.
Surrogacy, oh
Yeah.
yes.
For sure, I totally agree. Which is why it's important to do your research as well. And when you have the consultations with doctors, make sure they offer the services that you want, right? So if you're looking for a non-anonymous donor or a donor with ID release, then you want to ensure that that clinic has access to that type of donor, right? Because if they don't, then there's no point starting with them. Or
Yeah.
they might give you an option where they can then get donated gametes imported. So at least you know that they offer what you're looking for. It's the same thing as
Absolutely.
maybe if you have male factor infertility issue, ensure that the clinic has a urologist that can address the issues, right? You don't want a clinic that has no clue about that or has no specialty in that aspect, treating you, because then they might not be able to offer you what you want or need.
Yes,
So I
it's
Yeah.
think
so
that's
important.
important.
And
And
I
Yeah.
think
and
another,
that you mentioned something about the part of surrogacy. You know,
yes,
each country is so different in surrogacy laws. So, for example, my country has this issue that okay, you can go. It's less costly than here in the States, but you have a risk, which is okay. Suddenly, the surrogate mother can decide to say, "I'm going to keep the baby." Who wants that?
yeah,
This is a
yeah.
killer for me.
But that happens in Portugal. It's happening here in the UK as well.
Even in the UK, yeah.
Yeah.
Really? How they are capable? I ask, it's something that drill a lot my brain, because a surrogacy is someone, if I offer someone to be a surrogacy is because I have the compassion and heart to really do something that it how I'm gonna do that. So don't do it.
There was even in the news a couple of weeks ago about a male same-sex couple who into a surrogacy arrangement here,
Hmm.
but by the end of the pregnancy, they had communication problems. So the couple had broken down. So when the baby was born, they weren't aware that the baby was born only after. So on the birth certificate, the surrogate was registered as the mother, and the husband of the surrogate was registered as a father.
Oh, wow.
So the little girl that was born, she's now 6 years old, and she went to court claiming that she wants her father, the one who donated the sperm, so her genetic father, to be named on the birth certificate, and that was not allowed by court.
No.
So it was not allowed. So the girl is living with a male same-sex couple most of the time. She gets visits from the surrogate and her husband, but on the birth certificate is the surrogate and the husband who are named as father and mother. I don't know, all of that. That's why I would never be able to go through surrogacy in this country, because it's so just a risk of that happening. I'm not sure how I would be able to cope with that.
Yes, it's a very big risk in countries like Colombia, like you mentioned, UK and Portugal, because I think it's very unfair. I think these things, honestly, I'm gonna throw it right there. I think that this birth certificate thing should have how you call it, that like a reform or something, because that is so much messy, that the little paper it can cause a lot of mess. And also do, like, Ukraine is very very organized in oh, we lost Ola.
We've
Probably he
lost
needs
all
to
that.
connect.
Maybe she'll join us.
Yes, yes. And in Ukraine is so organized, there is really contracts to make sure, that once the surrogacy, the lady is going to give the baby and all of that, because that's a killer. Imagine the impact, the emotional impact, not to only the baby when it's growing, like but to a mom, to a woman, like, I don't know, let's say I need it will be like a killer for me.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yes, it's very important that when you choose surrogacy, also check
Check.
on the clinic and the laws of the country that is offering, right?
Absolutely. And I think, Monica, another aspect that people usually consider is, of course, the price, isn't it? The cost of treatment. And here in the UK, there's lots of people going to Europe because treatment is cheaper in those countries, but it's also always back. But it's also well regulated, so you're sort of safe in an EU country. Always back.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Ola is back.
Welcome
Hi.
back.
Yeah. Sorry.
We were just mentioning the cost, that many people also choose clinics based on costs, and it's quite common here in
Definitely.
the UK.
Definitely. I mean, it can be very, I mean, it's expensive wherever you go.
It
But,
is.
of course, in comparison, it can be cheaper because I've cycled in the UK and I know it's expensive, but it's not as expensive as the US.
Here is super expensive. You have no idea with these 5 cycles that I did. And this is something that I think not only here, but worldwide should be covered, because this is not, infertility is an illness as it is diabetes, as it is, I don't know, hemophilia or something like that. And, when we did the advocacy day here in the States with Resolve organization, there is a lot of research that if all the employers will cover infertility, the raise on the part of them and the individual, because we pay part of it, and they could, is not that high. And I think that it's a lot of issues now with fertility treatments. I don't know if you guys know, here we just the Supreme Court just overturned the Roe versus Wade, and it's, I'm kind of torn in two parts. I can't tell you I am for it, I am against it, but I can see how can affect, especially our area. We all, the three of us, are such an advocates for helping families that cannot get pregnant naturally, and that can be a big impact on this, because there is certain things that they could consider as a life being. But for example, in my opinion, if I have frozen embryos, they're not alive, they're frozen, there is no heartbeat. So how you can, what until up to where you can consider that should be very unfair.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a big argument about that. I hope that one day is going to be better. In the end, I think that the main thing, if we would be educating our young generations, and us when we were young were educated about, look, you can get pregnant in this way, you can avoid pregnancy in this way, these things shouldn't even exist. Really focusing on certain things that are basic to sexual education when kids start to have development of hormones and all of that, let's see, 13 and up, and not other ridiculous things that they have no, they are related to sexual education, but they are not basic that, and how they can identify if they have issues with their hormones or infertility. So we approach things earlier, and we will not have this. But that's how it is, I think.
Well, I I think there's an universal human right that says that people have the right to choose when and how many children to have, and
Absolutely, Andrew.
Yeah.
that's a basic human right. Just the same way as abortion should be allowed, but just the same fertility treatment should also be free of cost and available to all and accessible to all.
Yeah,
So
definitely. I think that's definitely my biggest concern. And I think sometimes people assume that, because I'm trying to conceive, or because you're in the fertility space, you shouldn't want people to have the right to choose how, when and if they want to have children. But that's not the case. Like, we should have all have choices, right?
Absolutely.
Just like I'm choosing to go through fertility treatments, somebody else can choose not to do that and not to have a baby whenever they want.
Yes.
You know, I think there's a lot of other things that we can focus on than trying to restrict people. And quite frankly, I'm not sure those laws actually restrict it. It just increases the risk that people would, be put in situations that could compromise their health.
absolutely. I mean,
That's the problem.
my grandma, she still tells me stories of abortions she had because at the time there were no contraception. She tells me the conditions, and she would go into this room where this midwife was with instruments that were not sterile.
Yes.
They had rust in them, and sometimes she would go there. She said, "I just can't go through it," and she would leave because the conditions were so bad. And other times she would have to, because she had 5 children. If she wouldn't, without how many children would she have in her lifetime?
Totally agree. Totally agree with you. Is like you say, it's a fundamental right. We should be able to choose how many, how, like Ola says,
And when? Yeah.
and when. Absolutely. But
And
you know
if
what?
at
It's
all.
something that is in
Yes.
general. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And like you say, health issues is another concern of this thing with the overturn. A woman that has an ectopic pregnancy, come on, you need to terminate that pregnancy, because if the baby is not going to be able to develop there, and it's risks to mom, and like even if there is an advanced pregnancy, which I tell you something, I can't deal with that because I went through that. But if there is an advanced pregnancy and you have risk in both lives and the mom is in risk, there is even in the Torah, in our Jewish Bible, you need to save the mom. It's not that we want to kill the baby, but you need to be. It's balance. I think it's all about balance, and we don't have balance today. Nothing. Nothing.
Yeah, I don't think it's not an easy choice for anyone,
No,
right? It's not
no,
like
no,
people are
no.
just thinking like, oh, ha, I'm just, it's not an easy choice that. So, but yeah, I hope that there's,
We all hope. We all hope, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that
And
was really
girls,
sad to see, but
girls, we were talking in the
yeah,
beginning about choosing a clinic, and we've
Yes.
mentioned
yeah,
going to forums online, checking the website, checking the success rates. We talked about going to the open evenings, getting a free consultation, checking if they do the treatment that you want to do, the local regulations, the prices. What else
yeah.
do you
I
use
should
that people
actually add
consider?
this. So I think it's important to also see a doctor's views on the kind of treatment you're looking at. Because I had a doctor that, because I'm doing genetic testing, and that's not open for discussion, right? Like
Yeah.
I tell the doctors I want to do this. But I had a doctor that apparently I found out later that she wasn't a big fan of genetic testing. So when I said I wanted to do it, she said, okay, fine, they do it. So they do offer it. But when we got to the time for the testing, there was a lot of resistance and excuses back and forth. And I mean, eventually they did it, but I just thought, what's the point of this? You know what I mean? Like, if you have a view on what I plan to do and you don't want to do it, then just tell me from the beginning, right?
Of
So
Yeah.
course.
I think it's important to ask specific questions and say, for example, I want to do genetic testing. Are you able to do that? Do you have any, issues with it or concerns or personal beliefs about it? And if you do, then I'll find somewhere else, as opposed to, trying to change my mind or, trying to make me feel like, oh, it's a bad thing for me to do it. Like,
Exactly.
it's
I
a
mean,
personal choice. So I
there's
think
doctors
that was
who only
something that came
do,
across as well. And
Yes.
yeah, and there's doctors that only do, for example, mild stimulation as well.
Yes.
So they don't do the normal stimulation. Or there's clinics that don't believe in time lapse technology, and all of those aspects that, like you said, Ola, we need to ask them how do they feel about that. But we only know that when we are in this community and they talk to us,
yeah,
and
Yes,
start.
it's incredible. It's so true. And asking questions is super important, because, and I always also say, even the silliest, even if you feel that you are asking the most silly question, there is no silly questions. And another important thing that like Dr. Google, we go Google and we see clinics. There is also reviews, that you can find. So I always like to read reviews, what these people, because I know that there is a lot of reviews that could be just made up because people was upset or something. But when you see a certain amount of reviews, I always check into 500 and up. And trust me, I take my time and read reviews, because it's very important what other patient says, and you kind of balance that. But like you understand, clinics have all their own methodology. Some of them believe, like you say, in PG testing. For me, we did it with my stillbirth baby girl because we wanted to know, and they were very open right away. Yes, send us. But like you say, there is some that can tell you, okay, yes, but if they come with obstacles, right there is like a red light.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking that if we are traveling around to different countries, I think an important aspect is whether the clinic has people who can speak to us in a language that we can understand.
yes, definitely.
Yes, yes, because sometimes they talk to you and you are like half of the conversation, like what they said is medical, is medical language that we don't have any idea of that. And in the beginning, I was so shy to ask. But as you go, and I think Ola, you are also like a story of that. As we go, we can ask. What are you meaning? Talk to me in my language because I'm not a doctor. So explain me. Super important. These
Definitely.
little details is the ones that we don't look up to when we are starting a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have been to quite a few European countries for consultations or treatments. But the good thing that many of them actually have, people that can speak different languages, and they would usually have like a coordinator that can speak to you. I mean, for me, it's English, so that can speak to you in English, and then any communication is done through that person. And even if the doctor doesn't speak English, they can, speak to the doctor and then translate to you. So yeah, that's very important though.
Today a lot of clinics in Europe, I have noticed, Sandra, they offer that services. They have up to
Yeah.
5, 6 languages,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, repro clinic, all the Spain clinics have incredible service on that. So you have people that can speak Spanish, Russian, Hebrew, English. So, and they have coordinators. I think that in average, uh, as we go, and even though with all the upside down that we can find in the world, clinics are becoming a little bit more looking into the patient and do the best way they can possible to help us.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful because it creates competitivity between them. So then you have more choices in a group of good quality clinics that also offer financial help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
And
you know,
even when you're looking at things like donor
yeah.
cycles, you find that lots of people are also considering other countries, like different countries in Europe, because of they have more variety in terms of ethnicities and countries of origin of the donors. We actually have lots of people coming to Nigeria now as well, because
Yes.
Nigeria, I believe, as far as I'm aware, the biggest country with the highest number of Black people in one place. So lots of people come here for Black donors and also for surrogacy, because in comparison to other countries, it's much more affordable in that sense. So I think, again, cost and, of course, what you're looking for. If they have, when you're looking for a donor, ensure that you check with the clinic. Do they have the ethnicities that you're looking at? And, are you flexible with the choices, right? Because otherwise, you're not, you need to be aware.
Yes, it's true.
Absolutely. And
So true.
I have so many people coming to me and saying, but which clinic would you choose? And I find it really hard. I never like to say, go to this clinic, because what matters to me is not the same that matters to other people.
Yes,
Exactly.
clap to that. That's so true
Yeah.
because each journey is so unique. So the best way to say, I will say, evaluate 3 or 4, like we were talking the other day too with Ola. Go to 3 or 4. You have some options. The same like when you're gonna choose a doctor. Like in fertility, we are all together because we walk the same path. But Andra, that's so important. Each of us is unique. My case is different than yours, than Ola. So what worked for me, as you say, cannot work for someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
usually tell them to draw like a table, and write, the first column, everything that matters to you out of all the things we're talking today. And then on the top, you just choose, like you say, 2 or 3 clinics and just rate them from 0 to 5.
Yes, that's
How
a great
does it,
idea.
yeah, how does each clinic rate for the things that matter to you? And then it becomes much easier to choose.
Yeah.
It's
I love
incredible
it.
idea. So simple to do.
Yeah,
I love it.
Me too. I love it. I never thought about it. All
Yeah.
what we are talking here, I wish to know
In
15
terms of
years ago.
adding
So maybe
anything
I should have
else,
gone to,
I
to
think
those
that
cycles.
also the location for the clinic is important.
Yes,
Either it's
absolutely.
locally, or even if you're traveling.
absolutely.
I think Ole is buffering a bit.
Yes, she's frozen. Probably the signal. Sometimes it happens to me.
Yeah, I mean, we're calling like such long distance, the 3 of us, between UK, Nigeria, and US.
Yes,
It's a miracle
yes.
that the internet is working, really.
I tell you something, this is one of the things I love about technology. There's a lot that I don't like, but there is a lot that I like.
Yeah.
This one is this one. You really, Andra, I wanted to ask you, of course, when you finish the live, if you can send us the link to me and Ola so we can post it in our Instagram as well, my darling.
Of course, absolutely. Ola, you're back. You were saying
I've been hearing you
location.
guys. I was hearing you though.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you were
Yeah.
talking about location.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think that's important because, you know, you probably have to visit the clinic often, you know, for scans and doctor's appointments. And even when you get to the point where you might have to do egg retrieval or transfers, you need somewhere that you can get to easily, right? And especially if you're working, like how far is it from you from work to get there and back? I remember the first cycle I had, I actually had to get a hotel very close to the clinic because it was far from me. So, you know, having to do, and usually the retrievals are quite early in the morning. So there was no way I was going to get there on time. So then I had to get a hotel that was literally just, you know, a few minutes away from the clinic. So if you can avoid that, and I think it's important. And even if you're traveling overseas, how easy it is to get there. You know, how
yes,
many flights do you need, right? So if, for example, I'm going to like Greece, I wouldn't go directly from here because there's no direct flights from Nigeria. I would have to go somewhere in Europe and then
yes.
from Europe get another flight to Greece, for example. So I think, you know, taking all that into consideration as well, how accessible is it to you? It's one of the
And all
factors
of
that I
that
take
add
into.
also to the financial cost, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes all of that, that is like one, this is affecting this and the other this and this. But I tell you something, a lot of people here in the United States, when they make numbers, like for example, even with the cost, the tickets and everything, is becoming way much cheaper. Way, I say way, is
Okay.
really like a big gap to go to Europe. Like Spain clinics also are doing consultations, like you say, Ola, via Zoom. I had a friend
Yeah.
actually in Colombia that I recommend her a clinic from, you know, I think what one of the clinic under that from the Fertility Awards. Very, and she's super happy and she's planning to go from Colombia to Europe to do it because even in Colombia it's costing her more than with all the consultations and tickets
Wow.
and all that.
That's
So
incredible.
incredible because you think, oh, in Colombia it's gonna be no. She said, and they offer her because she needs egg donation and surrogacy, and she said right away, I'm not gonna do surrogacy here. What if the good lady and then, oh, I want the baby, so and it's my egg, or it's even my husband's sperm and someone else donor. So she's traveling. I think she's gonna do it either with Repro Clinic or another one that I recommend. And she told me when she did the Zoom, she felt much better and more connected with them than with the doctor that she personally in Colombia. Definitely is our, you know, our within that tell us.
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned that more and more clinics are keeping in mind that patients need more than just the technical bits, right?
Absolutely.
And this coming week, it will be the annual congress for the European Society of Human Reproduction.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be in Italy, Milan, and there was
Yes.
actually a new study that was sponsored by Merck Pharmaceuticals in collaboration with Pregnantish, and they were doing a study looking at why did I stay/leave this clinic. And I think it's so interesting because clinics usually when you leave, when the cycle wasn't successful and you just move to another, they don't collect that data, so they don't
No.
know why you left, but equally they don't know what they need to do to improve and make the next patient stay.
That's
It's,
amazing.
it's
That is so incredible. They all the and it's true. Clinics don't collect the data. When I was starting, they didn't. But if they implement that, that's incredible because that also helps us as patients to choose and reduce the range of going around and lose time because sometimes the fact that they tell you as a woman, oh, you are over 30, so your clock is ticking, believe me, to start to think about, okay, I need to look into for clinics, how long it's going to take me. Sometimes it can take you up to 6 months or more to choose a clinic, and then you are with that thing on your back of your head that, oh, I'm old. It's all things, so that would be amazing help.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I will be going tomorrow, actually. So next
I
week,
can
I'll
imagine
be
you going
sharing.
on.
I'll be
So
sharing.
jealous.
Yeah,
Really.
me too. She's all over the place.
I'll be.
Well, I'm happy that you are healthy now and to be there because you are such a big advocate and
Yeah.
help to us, but not only in Europe, Andrea. It's incredible. I look how we connect all
Absolutely.
extremes
Marina.
of the world.
And that's amazing because when I was diagnosed 20 years ago, this didn't exist.
Yes.
Yes, it's true. Me too. When I was
So
diagnosed 16 years ago, there was nothing. I felt so lonely and defective, and I felt that I was the only one in the world that had the problem. You know how it is that probably you felt the same.
yeah,
That's exactly why I started fertility conversations, because it seemed like
Yes.
nobody else understood, right? Everyone looked at me like, what are you saying? What are you like,
Yes.
you know? But then online, you're like, oh yeah, they get me. They understand,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
I'm
I
not
love that.
abnormal.
I
Yeah.
call myself a veteran because I came very late already, but I don't care because whatever I went through that was like heavy, I know that can help others that feel kind of the same feeling, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. And I
I think
always
that's a
feel
really
that.
wonderful idea for that clinic. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we need to do more of these conversations, I feel, because
Absolutely.
bringing different perspectives is so important. And patients are
Yeah.
looking for that. They're looking for that different perspective and that unbiased opinion that they can't get when they're talking
Yeah.
directly to
Absolutely.
clinics.
It's so
Yeah.
true, and patients look sometimes even more to our voices as because we were patients or because we go through it more than to the doctor because eventually they see to the experiences we went through and okay if someone is in UK or if someone is in Nigeria or if someone is here in the US, oh okay, let me see what clinics she went where she had success, so kind of cut also the time because we were there, we have walked that path or we are walking like Ola, and can even also help the clinics because they can choose a clinic that has good name, help with financial, has this all this data that you mentioned, Andra, the data of live births, so we gather and I think that between us as advocates we can help more, to help these people to choose their clinics in the end and faster.
Definitely. Definitely. And that's why the research that was done by pregnancy, the one you just mentioned, is amazing. I
Yes.
Yeah,
think all clinics should do that for sure.
yeah.
Yes.
And, I'll be looking for more of that at the conference. So I'll make sure next time we can talk about lots of new stuff that are coming out.
Yeah.
Please, Sandra, yes, bring all that information so then we can program the next live once you come to give all of that information to people because even if it is only in Europe, there is a lot of things, again, from people here that are traveling there to do their treatments. So it's
Absolutely.
absolutely a tool.
And my
Yeah.
girls, it was so lovely to speak with you today.
The same, the same. I love to connect with you two girls.
Yeah. Same here. I want to
Uh,
come with you.
You
oh,
want you want
so meet me in Milan.
I want to go to Italy.
Come to Milan.
Yeah, that's one of my
Yeah.
dream countries. So
Well, have fun.
Well,
you yes, have fun, Andra, and let us know all the information that you can collect there, please.
yeah, and I'll share lots of nice photos. Pizza,
Yes.
Yeah. Send
pasta.
photos. Lots of
Oh,
photos.
pizza and pasta, yes. That's the best. You are in the country where you're gonna eat the real food from there.
Girls,
Thank you
lovely to
so
speak with
much.
you.
Okay, bye
Lovely
everyone.
to
Thank
see
you
you
for sharing
all.
with
Bye.
us.
Bye.
Bye.